There is a reason why I'm sporting this shirt. My boy, Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, let me tell you. X-Men 97, Season 2, Episode 7. This show is getting better and better by episode. And I absolutely loved it. Episode 6 was centered around Polaris. And we're seeing more of Bishop, which I will talk about the both of them later on in the review. But this episode was centered around my boy, Nightcrawler. And can I just say, Nightcrawler's fandom, the community of fans that stand Nightcrawler, we are loving it. We are absolutely loving it. I love this episode so very much. Why? Because of Nightcrawler. Oh, I love this episode so very much. So let's go ahead and get into the review. But before we get started, theme song. Check out the shirt. Now, even though I said I loved this episode, there were a couple things in this episode that pissed me off, starting with the opening scene. We get a flashback to season 1, episode 5, when the mutants were facing that wild sentinel in Genosha. And we see Colossus and Magic. They were in Genosha during that attack. And I'm like, oh, okay. They're about to be on some brother and sister superhero. I'm here for it. We see that Colossus, he's throwing things at the Wild Sentinel. We see that Magic, she's trying to save civilians and move them out the way. But then we see that the Wild Sentinel decides to attack Magic. And it ends up murdering her. No! Wait a damn minute. Not my girl. Not Ileana Rasputin. What are we doing? Why did you guys decide to murder Magic? This was the opportunity for Magic to get some clout in X-Men 97. And y'all kill her off. Why? I love Magic. And I can't believe they just did that. Like, they just used her as a martyr as a way to flesh out Colossus' characterization in this episode. Why, man? Y'all did not need to kill off Magic in order to give Colossus a storyline. No. And then the way she was killed off, she was blasted by the Sentinel and it was a whole bunch of rubble that just fell on top of her. Yo! Magic, she is a power sorceress. She should have deflected that damn Sentinel attack. She should have moved out the way when that rubble fell on her. No, man. Oh, I can't believe they killed off Magic. Y'all gotta bring her back in season 3. And Magic needs to join the team. I love Ileana Rasputin. Oh my God. So yeah, I was very, very disappointed that they killed off Magic. I'm so disappointed. But then we move on. So then the next scene, we are moving into the present day, and it is showing that Graydon Creed, who is a very well-known racist bigot against mutants. He is the founder of the Friends of Humanity. He announced his presidential bid at a rally, and he has a whole bunch of supporters holding up signs saying, "F mutants, humanity first, mutants are the devil." And it's just like, oh, okay. MAGA is in the building because that's exactly the type of vibes that was given off right here. But this should not be a surprise because I want to remind you guys of this one scene that happened in season 1, episode 10.
In other news, Graydon Creed edged ahead in polls today as President Kelly takes heat about the situation in Santo Marco, where extremists are preaching the second coming of Magneto.
See, I said this when I was doing the season 1 review. Nobody was paying attention to what was being said on their radio. And I knew that that was going to come up again. I didn't know if it was going to come up in season 2, but I knew that that was going to come up again. The seeds were being planted for Graydon Creed to make his mark and showcase his racism and showcase his discriminatory attitude against mutants. I knew that we were going to see that soon because they said on that radio that Graydon Creed was vying to be the next president of the United States. And that's what we are seeing right here in this scene. So yeah, it's not a surprise to me, and it's definitely mirroring what we are seeing currently in our political climate. But this is a nerd channel. This is not a political channel, so we're just gonna move on. But you guys see what X-Men 97 is putting down. I'm just saying. So then we get like a mutant version of an insurrection. We see Exodus and his acolytes. They decide to invade the rally and kidnap Graydon Creed. And who was the man that is front and center that's doing all the fighting? We see Colossus. It looks like Colossus joined the Acolytes, joined Exodus because of what happened with the death of his sister, which is a callback to the comics because that actually happened in the X-Men books. Colossus joined Magneto and his Acolytes, leaving the X-Men because of the death of his sister. So I love how they once again are using references from the X books. It's just a beautiful thing to witness. See those depictions come alive. And Colossus is in his Acolytes uniform and he means business. And I'm glad that the Acolytes are here because it's proving that the mutants are not a monolith. Anytime that they be like the mutant community, they all assume that the mutant nation, they all operate under the same ideology. And that's not the case. Exodus and his acolytes, they are a group of mutants proving to the world that they are not victims. While everybody was so heartbroken and distraught about what happened in Genosha in season 1, the acolytes, they were pissed off. And they wanted revenge. And they decided to take their revenge against Graydon Creed. So I just love that mindset. I love that ideology of the Acolytes because they represent the mutants that are just pissed off at all the racism, at all the discrimination, at all the violence against mutants. And they want to take action. They want to take a stand. They vehemently disagree with the X-Men in Charles Xavier because they feel like the X-Men, they are operating with the notion of the mutant and human coexistence. They probably feel like the X-Men are fighting to be a part of a system that does not even want to include mutants. I'm pretty sure they don't give a about the X Factor because the X Factor, they are working for the US government, rounding up mutants and slapping collars around their necks for no goddamn reason. So again, I just love that the Acolytes, they are unapologetically demonstrating to the public like we are mutants and we ain't no punks. And what y'all did in Genosha, y'all are going to pay for it. And y'all are going to pay for it with Graydon Creed. Because he's ours. And sidebar, they said in that news clip that the official name is the Acolytes of Magneto.
They call themselves the Acolytes of Magneto, an emerging cult of radical extremists devoted to the late master of magnetism and his vision for mutant supremacy.
I actually disagree with that name. It should just be the Acolytes, and they should not be operating with continuing on the legacy and the sentiments of Magneto, because Magneto's legacy and sentiments is full of shit. After Genosha happened and Bastion captured Magneto, gave him a clean shave and everything, what did Magneto do? He created an EMP bomb, he shut down all the electricity of the Earth, and he decided to raise Asteroid M and doom everybody on planet Earth, humans and mutants. But it's like, sir, why didn't you beat the out of Bastion? You had the opportunity to. You have the power to. You're a whole Omega level mutant. But instead of taking revenge and getting your lick back with Bastion, who had you chained to a chair and giving you a clean shave, you decide to raise Asteroid M, and then you decide to fight the X-Men and rip out the adamantium skeleton from Wolverine's body. Where was that energy for Bastion? So yeah, I don't like that they're called the Acolytes of Magneto, because Magneto should not be honored and his legacy should not be preserved to be remembered. Because Magneto ain't shit. And I'm so glad that he's dead.
What did he say?
Speaking of characters that pissed me off, Valerie Cooper. Okay. This shot of Valerie Cooper with President Kelly. It pisses me off so bad. So this is going to be my third time referencing season 1, and I feel like I'm going to be referencing season 1 a lot in this episode because y'all be forgetting what has transpired in the past because season 1 was like 2 to 3 years ago. But I remember season 1 like the back of my hand, and I want to remind you guys of these characters and the bullshit that they did in the first season, like Valerie Cooper. Valerie Cooper, I said it over and over and over again in this season 2 review of X-Men 97. Valerie Cooper was working with both Bastion and Mr. Sinister the entire time. She was an ally with them. She played a part with the formation of human beings being injected with nanites to become Sentinels. Valerie Cooper was working with the both of them. So why is she here buddy-buddied with the President of the United States? I also want to remind you guys, in season 1, those human Sentinel robots were actually going to attack President Kelly in his offices. What stopped them was Captain America and Iron Man. They were there in the bunker defending President Kelly from those human Sentinel robots. Those robots were getting ready to assassinate President Kelly. It would have happened if the Avengers were not in that room with him. Valerie Cooper was a part of that whole entire scheme. Bastion was defeated. Mr. Sinister was defeated. They suffered the consequences for their actions. Valerie Cooper did not suffer any consequences for her actions. So why is she sitting there with the President of the United States acting like she's just been a loyal person to the government this entire time? Your actions almost got the President of the United States killed in season 1. But you're sitting here with the President. That is some bull. That is some complete bull. I hate Valerie Cooper. I'm going to say it again. I hate Valerie Cooper. Let's move on. So the reason why Exodus decided to kidnap Graydon Creed, he's telling the United States government that he wants all mutants that were detained by the X Factor to be released to Acolytes' custody. He wants all those innocent mutants that was detained by those ICE agents known as the X Factor to be released to the Acolytes. And if they decide not to do it, they will kill Graydon Creed. That's what Exodus wants. I told you, Exodus and the Acolytes, they are not victims. They are pissed off about what happened in Genosha, and they want revenge. On top of that, they're low-key doing a good deed because it's like, why is the government rounding up innocent mutants and slapping collars around their neck? Especially mutant kids, mutant teenagers. Y'all saw that in episode 2. All those innocent mutant kids, they were going to the X mansion, trying to seek asylum, trying to find a safe place for mutants to exist, and the X Factor rounded them up and slapped collars around their neck and jailed them until the X-Force saved them. So yeah, I mean, the Acolytes, call it what you want, they're doing a good deed. I can't fault them for it. So then we see Valerie Cooper having communication with Charles Xavier, and she's telling Charles Xavier to not get involved, that the X Factor got this handled. She does not want the X-Men to get involved at all.
I'm already working with the UN to approve activating X Factor.
Who the do you think you are? And what the is the X Factor going to do against Exodus and his acolytes? The X Factor couldn't even handle X-Force. And that's with Polaris on the team. Polaris is no longer a part of the X Factor. And you're going to send the X Factor in to save Graydon Creed and fight against Exodus, who is an Omega level mutant, and his gang of acolytes? You think the X Factor is going to win against Exodus? Valerie Cooper, you need to sit down and shut the fuck up.
Sit back, minion. Go home to your masters and tell them I said off.
So anyway, Charles Xavier already tells Valerie Cooper, my X-Men are already on the way. That's the one point of this conversation. And that's what we see in the next scene. We see that the X-Men, they are on their way to Exodus base of operations to save Graydon Creed. And I bet you guys are wondering, why are the X-Men saving Graydon Creed? Graydon Creed is a whole racist. He is a whole bigot. He hates mutants. So why are you guys saving him? Well, the reason why, one of the reasons why, is because Nightcrawler, that's his brother. His blood brother. They both share the same mom, Mystique. Number two, from a publicity standpoint, mutants coming in to kidnap a political figure, take them back to their base of operations, demand the government to do something, and if they don't, they're going to assassinate this political figure. That can potentially cause like a whole World War III against humans versus mutants. The optics are not good. I know Exodus doesn't give a him and his acolytes, they're always ready for war. But the X-Men, they're like, all right, y'all doing too much. Y'all doing way too much. We are not about to have the whole entire mutant community going against the United States government. Like, what are we doing? So that is why the X-Men are going to rescue Graydon Creed and return him back to the United States of America, because they're trying to ease all the tensions. It's not because Graydon Creed deserves grace, but they just don't want it to be a political showdown and an actual war against mutants. So then on the plane, the team consists of Beast, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Bishop, and Polaris. And I was kind of caught off guard, but I'm here for it. Polaris and Bishop are flirting with each other.
Always with his eye on the worst case scenario. I may have read your file, Lucas.
So what's your strategy? Cause a scene? May have read your file too.
Now, even though they were buddy-buddy in episode 6, working together in order to take down danger and save the kids, I didn't suspect anything was going to transpire between the both of them. But now I'm seeing the both of them on this plane and they're flirting with each other. And I'm like, oh, okay. Out of all the X-Men comic books I've read in the past, I don't even ever remember seeing Bishop and Polaris being on the same panel together. Never sharing the same scene together, let alone getting together. I like this. I like this a lot. Okay, Bishop, I see you, boy. You better do your thing. So then, out of the blue, the plane gets attacked. Of course. I mean, it wouldn't be an X-Men series if the plane that they were flying on gets attacked. The X-Men, they can now hold a plane to save their lives. But apparently, there was this big radiation energy that is swept through the plane, and this caused them to lose their powers. However, Bishop absorbed the energy, but then he lost his powers. So he does not have the ability to redirect the energy. So it's like a power buildup in his system. So then the back of the plane, it gets hit by a missile and everything goes flying out, including Bishop. And then we see my girl Polaris. Everybody is panicking about the plane going down and then Bishop just flying out. And she's like, I understand we don't have powers, but you think I'm just going to allow Bishop to just fall on his ass and die? Absolutely not. Polaris takes off her seatbelt and she dives straight out the plane.
Polaris, don't!
Polaris, you are such a boss ass bitch. She wasn't waiting on a leadership order. She wasn't dependent on her powers. She sprung into action. Polaris was like, listen, I'm used to flying, so diving out of a plane ain't nothing. I love that scene so very much. That was one of my favorite scenes in this episode. Polaris diving out of that plane to rescue Bishop. As I said, they land safely on the grass and we see this shot.
Well, at least we stuck the landing. Okay, like I said, Bishop and Polaris, I did not see this coming at all, but I'm 100% here for it. I'm surprised they didn't take off their clothes and just right there in the jungle. Hey, yo! So then we follow up with Beast, Rogue, and Nightcrawler, because they were still on the plane when the plane crash landed. And we see that Colossus found their plane. And it's such a beautiful moment seeing Colossus reunite with the rest of the X-Men. But then the beautiful moment gets cut because Colossus is like, what are you doing here? And they're like, yeah, we're here to save Graydon Creed. He's like, Graydon Creed, we finna kill this nigga. And Nightcrawler intervenes and is like,
Creed is my brother.
and Colossus hesitates because that is a wild thing to say out loud. This mutant racist, this mutant bigot is a blood brother of yours. Yikes. Just a very mixy situation. Now, I don't know which of the X-Men was going to be the field leader for this mission, but we see that Nightcrawler steps up and he takes charge. And he takes charge of this mission because Rogue is providing Colossus with a whole bunch of aggressive energy.
We're here to rescue your hostage, so you and your acolyte buddies don't start World War III. We may not have powers here, but we're not just gonna turn around and—
Rogue, please.
See, that's the thing I love about Rogue. I say it over and over and over again. Everybody thinks that Wolverine is the most aggressive team member because he has the adamantium claws and he's ready to fight at the drop of a dime. No, Rogue is that girl that is ready to square up. She don't give a if she has powers or not. Rogue is more aggressive than Wolverine. She is standing there talking her shit even though she does not have her mutant powers, providing Colossus with a whole bunch of pushback and a whole bunch of aggressive energy. And Nightcrawler's like, sister, chill. Let me handle this. Let me handle this. Okay, we understand that the Acolytes are our enemies, but we Colossus, so just relax. So I just love that Nightcrawler had to step up and be the person, the voice of reason, which he is, in order to convince Colossus to, can I even have a conversation? I mean, that is my brother. And I know how you care about siblings. You know, Colossus lost Ileana. So I know he has a deep soft spot for family members because Colossus is a family man. So that's what they do. Colossus allows the X-Men to tour the Savage Land and see how they're living. And then they walk towards a shrine. We see a shrine of all the deceased mutants from the Genosha attack in season 1, episode 5. And at the top of the shrine, we see magic. Colossus has painted a beautiful portrait of his sister. And I just love this scene so much. First of all, God rest the dead, except Magneto, him. But aside from that, they included the detail that Colossus painted that portrait of magic because Peter is a very talented artist. That is a beautiful thing about his whole characterization. He likes to draw, he likes to sketch, he likes to paint via the comic. So I just love how they inserted that minor detail in the show to add towards Peter's personality. I just love that. So then Nightcrawler says this line that convinces Colossus to allow Nightcrawler to see Graydon Creed.
Each of us must act to ensure others like us will not lose their brothers and sisters.
In this, we share the same goal.
So I'm not gonna lie, this encounter between Kurt and Graydon Creed, it was rough. It was absolutely rough. Kurt was going in there with an open mind, wearing his heart on his sleeve, and Graydon Creed is providing a whole bunch of negative energy. He does not give a that Nightcrawler is his blood brother. He hates mutants.
Greetings, brother. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those who fear him.
If you're gonna kill me, kill me. Skip the sermons.
So then Exodus appears, and then Nightcrawler demands that Graydon Creed receives a fair trial. Kurt wants Colossus to be the judge, and if Nightcrawler loses this case, he is willing to sacrifice his freedom and join Exodus and his acolytes.
And if Exodus wins, what then?
I will join your flock.
Kurt, don't!
The fact that this man is willing to sacrifice his own freedom for his blood brother that does not give a flying about him. This is why I say Nightcrawler is the heart of the X-Men. Nightcrawler makes sure he puts the spirit of God and the love of God first when he's making decisions. is such a tragic yet beautiful sentiment. And this is why Nightcrawler has all of my love and all of my respect. I love it. This man is going to sacrifice himself just to make sure that his brother has a fair trial. There's no guarantee if Graydon Creed is going to be innocent or guilty, but he just wants Graydon Creed, his blood brother, to have a fair trial. I love Nightcrawler, man. Y'all can't say anything bad about Nightcrawler. That's my boy. So then the court case happens, and right here, you guys are going to hate me. You guys are going to hate me because it's going to sound like I'm defending Graydon Creed. I'm not necessarily defending Graydon Creed, but if you view it that way, I don't know what to tell you. But it is important for the right facts to be presented. When you're in a court case, you want the truth. So as Exodus is giving his plea to the court, he accuses Graydon Creed of 3 things. The first thing he says is that Graydon Creed was the founder of the Friends of Humanity. That is 100% factual. The second thing that Exodus says is that
created a virus that kills mutants.
That is not factual. Graydon Creed was not responsible for creating a mutant virus. That was Apocalypse.
We're here to put an end to your plague.
You led the X-Men here.
Apocalypse!
You dare to claim dominion over me?
A mutant. You have the cure now, Apocalypse. Your virus is useless.
The third thing that Exodus accused Graydon Creed of,
tried to frame a mutant for killing the president.
That is not factual, because Graydon Creed was not responsible for that. That was Mystique.
We're about to make history, mon ami. This is what happens when you go against mutants. Surprised to see me? I know I am.
The reason why I'm highlighting this is because, one, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. I don't know if the writers just assumed that we wasn't going to catch it, but the 2 things that Exodus is accusing Graydon Creed of, those are not factual. That was because of Apocalypse. That was because of Mystique. So that's the first reason why I'm bringing this up. The second reason why I'm bringing this up, there needs to be a conversation about the amount of harm that mutants do to each other. As I said earlier, mutants are not a monolith. They do not all think the same. They do not all believe the same ideology. Apocalypse, who is a mutant, he was the one that created that cure that was going to be deadly against mutants. That was Apocalypse. Mystique, who was a mutant, she was the one that attempted to assassinate President Kelly. And if that assassination would have taken place, the United States government would have forced war on the mutants by using the Sentinels. And that would have caused a deadly future, the same future where Bishop came from. So there needs to be a bigger conversation about the amount of harm that mutants do to each other. And I'm going to save that topic for another video, but I just had to make sure that I highlighted the right facts. Everything that's coming out of Exodus' mouth is a lie. But it's also important to note that Graydon Creed doesn't even push back. If I was Graydon Creed, I would have been like, nah, I didn't do that. And I didn't do that either. But his hatred for mutants is so strong, he's just sitting there like, yeah, f*** y'all. Even though this information is not 100% accurate, it was Apocalypse that did that. It was Mystique that did that. If you guys want to blame me for it, sure. You know why? Because I hate mutants. So again, it may seem like I'm defending Graydon Creed, but I just want to get the right factual information out there. If we want to hold Graydon Creed accountable for his racist rhetoric against mutants, if we want to hold Graydon Creed accountable for every single action that the Friends of Humanity, that organization, has done against mutants, cool. But the other 2 things that Exodus accused him of, no, it's not right. It's not right. I just had to put that out there. Let's move on. So then Nightcrawler takes a stand. I love my boy Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler takes the stand and he uncovers the truth of why Graydon Creed hates mutants. It's because of how his parents treated him. Mystique abandoned Graydon Creed. And it's like, girl, you are just a terrible mother. You abandoned both your sons. You abandoned Nightcrawler and you abandoned Graydon Creed. What type of mother are you? What type of mother are you, Mystique? Just a terrible person. And also, concerning his father, Sabretooth.
When Logan told me Graydon Creed was your kid, I couldn't see it, but now, can't unsee it.
Should have killed the little mistake when I had the chance.
Sabretooth was an abusive father. Sabretooth abused Graydon Creed because he was not a mutant. And Graydon Creed would wait until he reached his teenage years for puberty to happen to see if his X gene was going to activate. And it never did.
Sabretooth. He wanted a cub. And when I couldn't live up to his name, every night I reminded myself, make it to 13. I'd get powers like he did.
Sabretooth abused Graydon Creed as a child for not being a mutant. And what Nightcrawler says next, it is so beautiful.
You do not hate mutants. You hate the two who hurt you. When all you need to do is forgive yourself for thinking you weren't strong enough.
Nightcrawler needs to be everybody's lawyer because that is some, wow. That was like an eye-opening moment for me. It was like, ooh, okay. And another reason why this scene was so important, Nightcrawler single-handedly shattered the narrative that there's this big distinction between mutants and humans. Because with Graydon Creed, he is a product of two mutants coming together to have a child in birth of human baby. And then on the flip side, you can get two humans coming together, having a child and birthing a mutant baby. It's pretty much saying that mutants and humans are one and the same. Hell, Master Mode said that in the original series.
You were designed to protect humans from mutants.
That is not logical. Mutants are human. Therefore, humans must be protected from themselves.
And see, that's the thing about Charles Xavier's ideology, his dream of mutant and human coexistence. A lot of people criticize his standpoint, but Nightcrawler, he pretty much communicated it the best way possible. Mutants and humans are one and the same. We are one and the same. And we need to stop acting like we're so different. We come from each other. Because guess what? We are the same type of people. Shout out to Nightcrawler. Shout out to Nightcrawler. Making me have a sympathy bone for damn Graydon Creed. What is happening with this episode? Oh my God. It's because it's my boy Nightcrawler. Whatever Nightcrawler's on, I'm on it as well. I root for Nightcrawler. I'm not necessarily on the wave of defending Graydon Creed. I'm just rooting for my boy Nightcrawler because he's the GOAT. So then Exodus, he gets impatient and he's like, Colossus, give me the verdict right now, because he sees that the tides are changing. He sees that Nightcrawler's speech is landing with people and he's realizing like, yo, people are really having sympathy for Graydon Creed. Oh no, that's not gonna fly. Not up in here. So he's like, Colossus, give me the verdict right now. And Colossus, he hesitates. Like I said, Nightcrawler's speech, it has people thinking and questioning like, yo, everything that Nightcrawler is saying is spot on. It makes a whole bunch of sense. So that's why everybody is kind of like hesitating. That's why Colossus is hesitating. Hell, that's why for the past couple of minutes, I was low-key defending Graydon Creed. Because it was like, yeah, Nightcrawler is right here. Even though Graydon Creed is a piece of shit. It was like, yo, Nightcrawler got a point. Nightcrawler has a big ass point. But Exodus, he gets impatient. And I'm assuming in this moment that Exodus was reading Colossus' mind, because it's like, why are you reacting this way?
Heretic!
So Exodus decides to use his telekinesis, and he has Colossus in the chokehold. And Colossus is screaming for his life, and everybody's like, let him go. And the X-Men, they cannot do anything because they don't have their powers. And the Acolytes, they are following Exodus because that's their leader. But then we hear an explosion. Bishop and Polaris, they targeted the machine that was inhibiting their powers, and they blew that bitch up. So the X-Men got their powers back, and it is on. This is why I've been enjoying the season so damn much, because I've been saying this over and over and over again. We're getting more mutant versus mutant fight scenes, and I absolutely love it. It is 5 X-Men, Beast, Polaris, Rogue, Nightcrawler, and Bishop, versus the whole island of the Savage Land against Exodus and his Acolytes. But one thing about the X-Men, they don't give a what the numbers are. They are about that life. The X-Men, they jump. They don't get jumped. They do the jumping. Like I said, they are outnumbered, and they don't give a So then Exodus, still impatient, he tries to use his sword to kill Graydon Creed. But then Nightcrawler ports in and was like, oh, so we sword fighting. Okay, let's get it. Shout out to the creators, shout out to the animators. I can tell that they are fans of Nightcrawler because having Nightcrawler fight against Exodus via a sword fight, I absolutely love when X-Men media portrays Nightcrawler and his sword fighting skills. It is the best thing ever. Another reason why I absolutely love the character, because Nightcrawler, he is a skilled swordsman. I love when they show him fighting with swords. It is just amazing. Now, I've seen a couple of comments of people saying Exodus is overpowered. He is an Omega level mutant. Why did they decide to have him sword fight with Nightcrawler? Well, here's the thing. Nightcrawler has got the one up on Exodus multiple times in the comics. What y'all need to understand is it does not matter how powerful you are. Nightcrawler has the speed with his teleportation powers. So you can be overpowered, but what people have to stand is you have to take a little bit of time to concentrate, whether you're using your telepathy or you're using your telekinesis or you're using your electromagnetism or you're using your weather manipulation. Whatever your Omega level power is, you have to take a little bit of time to concentrate to use your powers. Within that little bit of time, that's all Nightcrawler needs to get the one up on you. Even in this comment panel right now, this was from the Messiah Complex run. Nightcrawler got the one up over Exodus because Nightcrawler is quick on his feet. He gutted Exodus and then teleported him into a whole mountain and went back into the battle. They were fighting the Marauders at that time. So it's not unlikely to see Nightcrawler take on people that are powerful to him because he is a physical fighter. And like I said, while you're taking those couple of seconds to concentrate and use your powers, Nightcrawler, he's already on your ass. So that's why we see Nightcrawler fighting an OP person like Exodus. But I love how they did this fight scene in this series because Exodus can also teleport. So he's meeting Nightcrawler where he's at. And it's the best part of the episode, to be honest. There was 2 of my favorite parts of the episode. Number 1 was Polaris diving out of that plane. And number 2, Nightcrawler sword fighting Exodus. It is on and popping. And even in the fight scene, we see Exodus trying to use his telekinesis to get at Nightcrawler, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Nightcrawler, he's one of them. So we see that Nightcrawler got the one up over Exodus, and he is asking Exodus to stand down. And while Exodus is gloating, talking about something, I will never stand down, blah, blah, blah. Y'all know how these villains do. They just talk so goddamn much. So while Exodus is talking, Graydon Creed decides to grab the gun that fell by him, and he shoots Exodus right in the chest.
Protected from.
What?
Like, I can understand the moment, but bruh, don't kill off Exodus. Exodus is such a unique, badass villain. Y'all can't just kill him off in his episode debut. No. Him being gunned down by Graydon Creed, I was like, what the f***, y'all? Damn. But again, I also respect and love the fact that even though Nightcrawler delved deep into why Graydon Creed hates mutants, it does not shake him. It's not a redemption arc. It's not I sympathize with the villain and now he's going to turn into a good guy. It's none of that. Graydon Creed still hates mutants. Even though he was able to admit where the origins of his hate for mutants came from, it doesn't change him. He still hates mutants. So I love that even though we went through all of that during the trial, that Graydon Creed is still evil to his core. I love when villains are just evil for the sake of being evil. I absolutely love it. So that Graydon Creed, he has the gun up to Nightcrawler and was like,
"Get me out of this freak show, or I will blow your brains out."
So Polaris is literally taking one of the swords that Nightcrawler and Exodus were fighting with, and she shucks it at Graydon Creed.
On it.
And it's like, hold up, Polaris. Were you going to assassinate Graydon Creed your damn self because the Acolytes didn't do it? Like I said, with Polaris and Bishop on the team, they don't give a They're going to do whatever they have to do to get done and hurt whoever they have to hurt. So Nightcrawler teleports Graydon Creed into another area of the snow. And Nightcrawler, he is using his tail to choke the out of Graydon Creed because he's like, my nigga, I had your back. I was on the front lines fighting for you. And then you turned around and murdered Exodus. What the is wrong with you? I know I can't change you, but damn. Like, can you at least be a little bit grateful that I risked my life to save yours because you are my brother? It's crazy. And like I said, at least Graydon Creed is consistently evil. It's no stereotypical cliche redemption arc for a villain. So I do respect the fact that out of everything that Nightcrawler did for him, he still has his hatred towards mutants. But then at the same time, it's like, bitch, like, your own brother was willing to sacrifice his own freedom. If they would have gave a guilty verdict, they would have murdered Graydon Creed and Nightcrawler would have been a permanent member of the Acolytes working for Exodus. He was willing to do all of that for you. And then you still turned around and did some shit. And Nightcrawler is still not about to murder you. One, because you are his brother. And two, he believes it is not his place to make that judgment call. It's God, not Nightcrawler.
Or is mercy found in ending you and sparing us instead? This is what higher powers are for.
And even in the scene, he drops the coldest line ever.
You may not be a mutant, but you are very much your parents' son.
And then he decides to leave Graydon Creed in the middle of the snow. The X Factor, they wanted to get involved and help find Graydon Creed. There you go. The X-Men, they did all the heavy work for y'all asses. So then we see the scene between Valerie Cooper again. I cannot stand this bitch.
Playing a very dangerous game, Charles. Cross the line, I'll take away your corporation and your school.
Bitch, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Because the X Factor, they would not have survived an encounter with Exodus and his acolytes. Like I said earlier, they couldn't even handle the X-Force. So what the hell were they going to do against the acolytes? The X-Men, they not new to this, they true to this. All it took was 5 X-Men members to bring down Exodus and the acolytes. The X Factor, they would have got their asses beat. Because remember, Polaris is no longer on that team. So what chance did X Factor have fighting against the acolytes? Valerie Cooper, go sit your ass down and shut the f*** up permanently.
You are so out of order as a woman. Out of order.
So the episode ends off with Colossus returning back to the X Mansion, and he is standing there having a conversation with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was like, hey, did I convince you? And Colossus was like, honestly, you didn't convince me, but everything you said in that court, it would have convinced Ileana. And I loved that moment. Because it was like Colossus was keeping it real with him. Like, I acknowledge everything that was said. And I'm going to be real. I was not 100% convinced. And he didn't just say yes for the sake of saying something that Nightcrawler wanted to hear. He was being truthful and honest in that moment. And then he actually depowered. This is the first time this entire episode that we see Colossus' real skin. He was holding on to that hurt. He did not want to be vulnerable no more after losing Ileana. That's why he was in his metal form this entire duration. But now he actually depowered because he is finally dealing with the grief and finally realizing that it is okay to be vulnerable. And I just love this moment so much because Nightcrawler and Peter, they're best friends. Nightcrawler was literally the best man in Colossus' wedding, even though that wedding went to shit, but we're not finna dive into that. But yeah, I just love their relationship. Colossus and Nightcrawler actually joined the X-Men around the same time. So they have this BFF bond and it's so beautiful. So I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love Colossus. I love Nightcrawler. This episode, 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it so much. So much. Number one, because of Nightcrawler, and number two, because of Polaris. Like I said, the way she dived out of that plane. Oh my, that was some goat ass, boss ass shit. She was like, I ain't got no powers, but I ain't finna let Bishop, my man, get killed off of flying out of a plane. Like, what? Oh my God. Yeah, I love this episode so much. It was so dope. But episode 7, my boy, Nightcrawler. My boy, Nightcrawler. Shout out to episode 7. What did you guys think of the episode? Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode review. X-Men 97 Season 2, Episode 8. We're almost done, y'all. We're almost done. I don't want it to be done, because like I said, I've been enjoying this series so much. Shout out to X-Men 97. Peace.